Studio Classroom is here for you. It helps you in all you do. It helps you know you do. So tune in and now enjoy the fun. Just join us now, enjoy the show.
Hello friends, my name is Anne-Marie and today is a great day to learn something new.
So let's do that together. My name is Gabe. Thank you so much for joining us here at
Studio Classroom. Friends, we have more of a serious article today. Our article is called Taiwan Gets Tough on Asbestos. And before we get started, I think we need to define what asbestos is.
Nobody likes talking about asbestos. But I'm glad when you said we have a more serious lesson, I'm glad to say that it's not serious as in related to death or illness or something like that necessarily. Although asbestos is a material or a substance that could cause cancer or lead to cancer, which is one reason why people, I guess recently in recent years, have been talking about it a little bit more, because it's also a material that is used in buildings.
Exactly. This is a naturally occurring group of silicate materials, and they're very fibrous. So they were once used for their strength, heat resistance, ability to absorb sound in many older buildings. But now that it's been realized that they are dangerous, we're trying to get rid of them and not use them in construction anymore.
It kind of reminds me of DEET, you know, that chemical that you can spray on yourself to keep mosquitoes away. There have been different chemicals or substances that people used in the past that the more we learn about them, we realize actually it's really not good for us at all. Asbestos is one of them.
That's right. So friends, let's get into our first reading for the day and learn more about how we as well can get tough on asbestos.
Taiwan gets tough on asbestos. How Taiwan is using tech to build an asbestos-free future. In the past, asbestos roof tiles were used on buildings all over Taiwan. While this material was popular, affordable, and abundant, experts later discovered that it was hazardous to human health. Whoever breathes in asbestos fibers faces a higher risk of developing lung cancer or one of several other diseases that affect the lungs. Although Taiwan officially abolished the use of this material on new buildings in 2006, many older buildings with asbestos roofs still remain today.
Hi, I'm Jack. 今天的 usage tip 要来介绍 whoever, whatever, whichever 的用法。这些复合关系代名词是由 who, what, which 加上字尾的 ever 所构成，可以引导名词子句作为句子的主词或是受词或补语。Whoever 表示无论是谁 ，whatever 则表示无论是什么 ，whichever 表示无论哪一个。来看一个例句 ：Whichever team arrives first will get a free gift。先到的一队将获得一份免费礼物。
Okay, thank you so much, Jack. Well, friends, we are going to read about how Taiwan is using tech to build an asbestos-free future. As we get into it, let's define this word tech.
Tech is short for technology. It refers to modern tools, especially electronics and computers. Many students are interested in learning about the latest tech or technology.
All right, well, we read on here, in the past, Asbestos roof tiles were used on buildings all over Taiwan. Now, a tile is a flat, thin piece of material. They're often used to cover floors, walls, or roofs. I often think of a bathroom that has tiles on the floor or in the shower. Sometimes they are squares and they're laid one next to each other to create a flat, smooth surface.
Tiles may have different kinds of patterns on them to make them look interesting. They might be made of different materials as well. For example, the kitchen floor is made of ceramic tiles.
All right, so we see here that these asbestos roof tiles were affordable and abundant. That's why people were using them in the first place. Now, abundant means that there is a large amount of something. There's more than enough of it. It's also something that's very easy to get. For example, the rainforest has abundant plant and animal life. There's a lot of plant and animal life in the rainforest.
And so there are some great things about asbestos, right? That it's popular, affordable, and abundant. Affordable means it's not very expensive. It's easy to buy, right? Experts later discovered, however, that it was hazardous to human health. If something is hazardous, that's never a good thing. That means there's some kind of a danger or risk involved.
Exactly. And here's the risk that we're talking about in our article. Whoever breathes in asbestos fibers faces a higher risk of developing lung cancer or one of several other diseases that affect the lungs. Now, we've used this word fibers a few times now, friends. Let's define it together.
Yeah, a fiber is usually a thin thread used to make cloth or sometimes found in food. There are different types of fibers. For example, cotton fibers are used to make soft clothing.
All right, but we read here, although Taiwan officially abolished the use of this material on new buildings in 2006, many older buildings with asbestos roofs still remain today. Now, this word abolish is a good one for you to know as well, friends. This means that something has officially ended. Usually here we're talking about a law or a system.
That's right. For example, this word often reminds me of slavery. In the past, slavery was abolished in many countries in the 19th century. Abolish is the verb. Sometimes we talk about the movement or the idea as abolition. The spelling changes there too. A-B-O-L-I-T-I-O-N. But here we're talking about abolishing a certain kind of material.
All right, friends. Well, we have more to learn about asbestos here in a moment. So right now, let's go on with our next reading.
Taiwan gets tough on asbestos. As these roofs age, they naturally deteriorate. Cracks or damage can allow dangerous fibers to break free and float through the air, putting those nearby at great risk, especially in crowded urban areas. To deal with the situation, or threat, the locations of all asbestos roofs on the island needed to be accounted for, which was a difficult challenge. In the past, this work had to be done in person, which required a lot of time and effort. But Taiwan's Ministry of Environment took a major step in 2021 by introducing innovative tools that could monitor asbestos rooftops across the nation.
我们来看 deteriorate 这个动词，意思是恶化或是退化。来看例句 ：The eye doctor told Fern that without the operation, her eyesight would only deteriorate. 眼科医生告诉 Fern， 如果不动手术，她的视力只会恶化。Deteriorate 也指建筑物受损，譬如 Years of wind and rain caused the abandoned wooden house to deteriorate beyond repair. 多年的风吹雨打已造成这栋废弃的木屋受损，无法修复。Deteriorate 的名词是 deterioration， 也是指恶化或是变坏。譬如 After years of deterioration in their relationship, the father and son realized they needed to forgive each other. 经过多年的关系恶化，这对父子终于意识到他们需要彼此原谅。
Thank you so much, Jack. Now, friends, we get right into our next section. Reading, as these roofs age, they naturally deteriorate. Thanks for teaching us that word, Jack. Cracks or damage can allow dangerous fibers to break free and float through the air. Now, when something breaks free from something else, it means that it escapes or it gets away from something.
For example, it's not only substances that could break free. We could talk about animals breaking free as well. The horse tried to break free from the fence. But here in our lesson, cracks or damage can allow dangerous fibers to break free and float through the air. And of course, that could be very dangerous for people who are close by.
That's right, especially in crowded urban areas. To deal with the situation or threat, the locations of all asbestos roofs on the island needed to be accounted for. Now, if something is accounted for, it means that it is explained or included. Many times this could be a list that somebody has, especially in this situation, so that they know where everything is.
That's right. This phrase could be used in different ways. For example, everyone in the group was accounted for after the trip. That means everybody who was originally counted is counted again after the trip, or everybody is there. It's another way of saying that. But we can also use this to talk about an explanation for something. Who can account for the accident? In other words, how can we explain this accident?
That's right. Now, here in our article's context, we're talking actually about locating and finding all of the roof tiles that have asbestos in them. In the past, this work had to be done in person, which required a lot of time and effort. But Taiwan's Ministry of Environment took a major step in 2021 by introducing innovative tools. Before we move on, let's talk about this word, innovative.
Innovative. This is an adjective. This talks about something that is new, creative, and original. For example, her innovative idea helped the team solve the problem. The noun form of this word is innovation. It's important to have innovation on your team, to think of innovative ideas.
That's right. Now, these innovative tools could monitor asbestos rooftops across the nation. If something is monitored, it means that it is watched or checked, and usually this is done over time. For example, we need to monitor the weather before going hiking.
Yeah, that's kind of another way of saying we're going to find a way to keep track of the weather to make sure that it's okay for our hike. Again, you're watching something closely over time. We do have more to learn about asbestos and what we can do about it right after today's Info Cloud.
Hello friends, welcome back to InfoCloud. Hey Rex, I've been having this terrible back pain lately. I've tried stretching, hot packs, everything.
That sounds frustrating, Garrett. Have you talked to a doctor to get to the root of the problem?
Not yet, but I probably should. And that's today's phrase there, get to the root of the problem. It means to find the real or root cause behind an issue.
That's right. Think of a tree. If the leaves are turning brown, the problem may not be the leaves. It could be something wrong with the roots.
That's why we say get to the root, because you're going beyond surface symptoms to find the deeper issue.
It's a useful phrase for health, relationships, and even business. If a team isn't performing well, a good manager will try to get to the root of the problem instead of just blaming the results.
That's well said. Solving symptoms might help for a while, but long-term change only comes when you find and fix the root cause.
有时候我们表面上看起来好像身体不适、工作卡关，或是人际关系紧张等等，其实真正问题的关键藏得更深。这时候就可以用 get to the root of the problem 来形容。这个用语的 root 是根部，就像植物有问题的时候，得从根部检查起，才能够真正的解决。The therapist helped Kevin get to the root of the problem. 那位治疗师帮 Kevin 找到了问题的根源。这个用语提醒我们，别只处理表面，要勇敢的面对核心的原因，才有可能真正改善现况。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
Taiwan gets tough on asbestos. One of the most notable tools they used was hyperspectral imaging. This technology works by analyzing the differences in how various materials reflect wavelengths of light, much like how fingerprints are used for identification. With this tool, officials could detect asbestos roofs from the aerial photography without needing to physically visit every building.
"接下来看 aerial 这个形容词，意思是空中的或是从空中的。譬如 I wish I had an aerial view of this village to see the red rooftops and white stone streets. 我真希望能够从空中俯瞰这座村庄，看看红色的屋顶和白色十字路。我们来学几个跟 aerial 相关的名词。Aerial refueling 就是指空中加油，譬如 Military pilots have to train to do aerial refueling, which means that one plane delivers fuel to another while both are flying. 军事飞行员必须接受空中加油训练，也就是在飞行中为另一架飞行中的飞机输送燃料。另一个是 aerial combat 空中战斗。来看一个例句 When the Wright brothers invented the airplane, they could not have imagined the horror of aerial combat in the 20th century. 莱特兄弟发明飞机时，他们想象不到20世纪空战的可怕。
All right, friends, let's get into our last section for today's lesson. We read one of the most notable tools they used was hyperspectral imaging. We'll talk about what that is in just a moment. First, let's take a look at that word notable.
Notable means important or well-known or worth noticing, or you could think about it in this way. It's something that you want to write notes about. It's notable, okay? For example, he gave a notable speech that inspired many people.
That's right. Sometimes we say that someone's accomplishments are notable. They are something that many people notice. Now, one of these notable tools or important tools is hyperspectral imaging. This is a technology that uses many light wavelengths, and it's done to study objects.
For example, scientists use hyperspectral imaging to analyze farmland from space. So the idea here is that you don't have to be up close to figure out more about something. You can analyze farmland from space or figure out what's going on if there is any asbestos in the roofs from way up above.
That's right, and we learn a little bit more about how this technology works here in the next sentence. This technology works by analyzing the differences in how various materials reflect wavelengths of light. There are a few things we need to define in this sentence so that we can understand it better. We have that word analyzing. This is studying or looking at something carefully in order to understand it.
That's right. For example, we are analyzing the test results to find out what went wrong. Some jobs require a lot of analyzing, others not so much. But in this job, they are analyzing the differences in how various materials reflect wavelengths of light. And yes, wavelength is one of those science terms that you probably learned in science class. This is the distance between waves of light or sound.
For example, different colors of light have different wavelengths. Okay, let's review how this technology is working, friends. So the technology is analyzing the differences in how various materials reflect wavelengths of light. Now, why does this matter? Well, it's kind of like how fingerprints are used for identification. So basically, it's probably giving this technology a certain amount of data for it to process.
Yeah, this tells me that this tech is really impressive. It can tell the difference between a lot of different kinds of material just based on the reflected wavelength after the light hits these substances. Just kind of like our fingerprints are very unique. There's no two fingerprints that are alike. Well, no two substances are really alike as well, and we can use hyperspectral imaging to discover this, to figure this out.
It's pretty amazing. With this tool, officials could detect asbestos roofs from the aerial photography without needing to physically visit every building. So I'm not sure exactly what is flying over these buildings in order to image them. Maybe drones or something like that. I'm not sure, but the idea here is that people don't have to spend a lot of time to physically inspect and visit all of these different buildings.
I wonder if you can actually do this with satellites way up above the Earth.
That's something I haven't even thought about either.
I don't know. I don't know how they're doing this, but it is very impressive. And it just comes back to the idea of wanting to make our world more efficient, right? You could send out a team of people to find out, is there asbestos in this building? What can we do about it? Or with the tech we have now, you can do this in a lot quicker way.
It definitely sounds much more efficient. Well, friends, we do have more to talk about in just a moment, but first, let's go to today's fun fact.
Hello, fact friends. I am Detective Ernest Finder, and I have a fun fact for you today. Although it is very dangerous, asbestos has some useful qualities. It's true, there is a reason people used to use it. Asbestos is highly fire resistant. This means it does not burn easily. But don't try touching asbestos. It is dangerous. And that is today's fun asbestos fact.
We have reached the end of the first half of our lesson, and I want to talk about some of the takeaways we have from what we've learned so far. What do you think, Gabe?
Oh man, well, just learning about hyperspectral imaging is very impressive. It's just a reminder of how far along we have come as a society, the kind of really advanced technology that we have to do something like this, where you can just, count on reflected wavelengths to figure out what kind of material is in someone's roof.
Yeah, I agree. I really like when we use technology to make things safer and more efficient for people without putting people in danger or having them do work that is dangerous or complicated or work that they don't want to do. This allows the machine to do that work and the people to do more of the solutions part of the analyzing.
Although I have to say, Anne-Marie, just thinking about this just kind of reminds me of how scary the world could actually become. We could use tech for good things, and we could also use advanced technology like this for bad things, like spying on people.
I think that's true with a lot of different types of technology. But what do you think, friends? This is a great thing for you to talk about in English. That's all the time we have for today. My name is Anne-Marie.
And my name is Gabe, saying see you next time right here on
Studio Classroom.
A good friend lasts a lifetime. I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.